Things I don't know if I am or not. Human. One time at a party, someone asked me how human I was. And I told them I don't know. Because I don't.
For most people, gender is one of the two options that life can offer. However, not everyone identifies fully as one or the other.
My name is Gavin Cade Summers. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I identify as a queer, transgender, non-binary human, which basically means that my gender seems complicated to a lot of people.
My name is Danny Henry. My pronouns are they, them, and I guess I would say my gender is purple, and I love that.
Gavin was assigned female at birth, Danny was assigned male at birth. The two friends are both performance artists who identify their gender as non-binary, a blanket term for any gender identity that lies somewhere other than male or female.
I really do not like when people see gender as this like this line, and one line there's a man, on the other end there is woman, and to me I picture it as there's just this space.
To me, non-binary means an acknowledgement of more than just two. When we speak about gender, a lot of the time it's boxed into like male or female, and there's an erasure of like a whole multitude of identities. And so when I say non-binary, I mean I'm more than just two. I'm not just male, I'm not just female. I have experiences that kind of transcend what society defines as male and female, and I fit outside of that.
The non-binary gender has nothing to do with sexuality. It is about self-identification.
Oftentimes, gender and sexuality are kind of like conflated to be this one thing, but really they're actually separate. When we talk about gender, there's a couple of different layers. So there's the sex that you were assigned at birth, which we've kind of gone over. So there's male, female, and intersex. And so typically a female who's assigned at birth would have like XX chromosomes, a male would have XY chromosomes, and intersex means that you either have chromosomes or genitalia that are not conforming to our typical definitions of male or female. So that is your assigned sex at birth. Gender identity is how a person identifies. So someone can identify as male, as female, as both, as neither, or as anything that kind of falls in between. So we start talking about gender as a spectrum rather than a binary.
Once we look the same or a little more alike, a boy could sing up high, a girl could ride a bike. Skirts and pants and schoolyard chants, then it has to change. Bodies rearranged, what the hell is going on?
Gavin and Danny perform a show called Girl Boy In Between at the Toast Collective, a space where they can showcase their arts, a space where they can express the experiences of not being understood by others, including their family.
Mom, can you see me? I am right here. I know you always wished for that unbreakable mother-daughter bond that is talked about, the ones you read about in books or see on TV shows. You speak longingly for it as if having that with me, your firstborn, would help heal hurts from the years gone past. Can you see me? I haven't gone anywhere.
When we think about our parents, we think about how they want us to be happy, but they want us often to be happy in the ways that they understand happiness, which for the most part is like traditional marriage. So if you're a woman, you marry a man. If you're a man, you marry a woman, and making babies and continuing the cycle of life and passing down the genetics, and so that parents become grandparents. And the idea of what happiness is or what happiness looks like can be so conditional that I think it's sometimes hard for parents when their children don't necessarily subscribe to that ideology.
For all you knew, I could have been a girl. If all you knew, I could have not been the boy that you assumed. I wish that day my genitals were not something to be seen. Well, I definitely am aware that people read me very often like as a man. You go to Tim Hortons and I order something and I call out sir, and I want to ignore that. I want to dress the way I do, behave the way I do, and wear makeup if I want to, and also wear like masculine clothes if I want to, and just be me.
Come find me in the city that never sleeps.
When going to public bathrooms, people generally have to pick between men's and women's washrooms. However, those little public spaces can be very stressful for non-binary individuals.
There's this thing where I wonder if I'm going to be perceived as like man enough to use a men's washroom or woman enough to use a woman's washroom. And that's a really scary thing where it's like, I just need to go to the bathroom.
My experience in public washrooms is uncomfortable. More often than not, washrooms are gendered, male or female, and it's tough because when people first see me, they don't necessarily see a woman. And so at this point in time, I really don't feel comfortable using any restroom that is labeled woman. And men's rooms can sometimes cause problems as well because a lot of the time they're way less clean.
Non-binary people are still struggling in a society that can hardly process the idea of more than two genders, but are optimistic as changes are being made here in Vancouver.
School districts in BC have sexual orientation and gender identity policies in place at this time. And they range from not comprehensive to incredibly comprehensive, Vancouver having one of the most comprehensive in BC, around how can we be more gender inclusive in our schools. And so schools are actually looking at redefining what does PE curriculum look like, what does sex ed curriculum look like, what do the washrooms and change rooms in our schools look like. And I think that's really incredible. Alberta actually just passed a province-wide policy for gender identity and sexual orientation against discrimination for folks who don't identify as cisgender or as heterosexual. And I think it's really incredible to see those sweeping policies put in place.
Hush, little baby, don't you cry. It'll be alright. You'll be just fine.
It means that the youth and the next generation of people who will exist will have their rights protected in a way that mine were not.
Hush, little baby.